G'day humans, Chris Stead here. Today's a pretty big day for audiophiles. SONOS has just announced the new family in its range, the Era family. Now I was at the launch event for this in Sydney, Australia, chatting to the team and getting taken through the devices. So I thought I would give you my 5 key takeaways from that. I haven't actually got the review device yet because it's not coming out for a few more weeks yet on March 28. But I did have a listen to it, did have a play with it and did learn some things about it. So I'm going to show you a bit of footage I took on the day as well as some of the trailers that have come out on the announcement day. But anyway, let's get into my 5 key takeaways from the event. So number 1, we're definitely looking at bigger sound here. The Era 100 steps up from the SONOS 1, which is kind of its predecessor, throws in an extra tweeter. So now we now got stereo. There's also a 25% bigger bass woofer in the Era 100. The Era 300, which is kind of the new speaker, the revolution in the SONOS range, has 6 Class D amps, 1 pointing up, 1 pointing front, and 2 on each side, 1 bass and 1 tweeter, so firing out from each side here. Now this is designed to create that spatial audio sound, so spatial audio kind of being this, I guess, movement in the audio space at the moment. We've seen PlayStation in particular do a lot around this. And from what I heard on the day, sounds really, really good. Interestingly, they were saying that SONOS stuff never distorts. You cannot get it to distort because every part's made in-house and therefore they know how to balance it correctly. I'm looking forward to trying to test that to see if it's true, if I can get this thing to distort. But they say you'll never get it to distort. But now you can get a full kind of surround sound setup. So they had that on the demonstration by having a SONOS Arc underneath the TV, and then they had the 2 SONOS subs, and then they had the Era 300 as 2 rears to create like a Dolby Atmos 7.1.2 or 7.1.2 surround sound system, and that was pretty impressive listening to Top Gun Maverick and the planes flying around. Okay, number 2, accessibility. I was really happy to see Bluetooth support announced for both the Era 100 and the Era 300. It's been a feature I wanted to see on the SONOS range for a long time. Look, it was more an issue with things like the roam, where you actually take them away from your house and away from the Wi-Fi. But just having a friend be able to just turn up, connect via Bluetooth, without having to worry about your Wi-Fi system, just play is great. And it should mean that you'll be able to connect to other devices like a PlayStation 5 that have Bluetooth support. So it'll be interesting to see, play around with that, see how that works when I finally get a review unit in. Now, when I did kind of suggest, can you do this with a PlayStation, they reverted to pushing you towards the Arc, which is obviously their surround sound home theater entry in the SONOS range. But I think you'll probably be able to multitask with the Era 300 and use that as something of a home theater sound system. But again, I'll have to test that in the future. USB-C line in also joins, which is great. So this is not for power. You don't run the power through the USB-C, but you can use it as a line in. They showed that at the demonstration with a record player. So they had some vinyl running and they had that coming through line in into the speakers directly. Now there is an adapter you can get as well that allows you to put Ethernet and an audio jack, so you can just kind of use the adapter to use that through the USB-C as line in. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes as well, if there's a demand for that. And it still has voice control, which we have seen in other entries in the SONOS range before. Okay, number 3, Android users get Trueplay, well, kind of anyways. If you don't know what Trueplay is, it's the kind of cloud-based AI auto equalizer tech. So you used to go around the room with an iPhone, or you can go around the room with an iPhone with the app, and it will take measurements, see how sound bounces off things, see what the volume of space is like, and adjusts the sound in the speakers to basically get you the best sound possible. And it works really well as well, and it works across multiple speakers depending on how many speakers you've got set up in your room that are SONOS speakers, so it's kind of cool. But it didn't work on Android phones because Android has too many variants and they would say that they couldn't get it right. Now with the new far field mic with advanced beamforming and multi-channel echo cancellation on the device itself, you can approximate Trueplay using the mic on the speaker. You don't have to use the app on the phone. Now it's not as good because you're not walking around the space, but it's still pretty good and definitely better than nothing. Number 4, sustainability. That was kind of a big focus of the demo, and this has been a big focus of a lot of demos that I've been doing lately across tech and travel and lots of different spaces. For SONOS, it means packaging with next to no plastic in it. I think they said just the handle is plastic. The devices are made from a lot of post-consumer recycled plastic, so 41% I believe of the Era 100 and 48% of the Era 300 are made from recycled plastic. which is good, but obviously lots of room for improvement there as well. And my favourite was that there's screws being used instead of adhesive and getting it all kind of stuck together, these things. So that's good. That means that you can open it up and look in if something goes wrong. You don't have to just throw it out and get a new one. I'm not too sure if consumers are really giving too much of a stuff about this at the moment because everything's so expensive and it's cost of living crisis, but I hope they are, and it's definitely good to see that companies are. And number 5, finally, the price and design. Now, you're looking at $399 in Australia for the Era 100 and $749 for the Era 300. This is matching the existing Sonos pricing that we've seen. I think the 5, which is still considered the premium of all the speakers, is $799, and the $399 for the Era 100 matches what the Sonos One was. So not much, no inflation there, I guess, to the prices, and considering the quality of the tech, I think those prices are pretty reasonable. Design-wise, look, the touch controls for the volume are really lovely up the top. They work really, really well, and it's better than kind of those kind of fiddly little buttons that we're seeing on like the Sonos Roam, for example. But other than being just a little bit taller, there's not much difference in the design of the Era 100 versus the Sonos one that we've seen before. The Era 300, much bigger departure there, as you can probably see from the imagery. But it's got the same kind of near clean exterior with very subtle buttons and ports that you expect from the other Sonos devices. Very much feels like part of the family. It looks awkward, but I found it to be pretty well balanced when you put it down on a flat surface. And I should point out that the stands that you can see in the footage are actually bespoke to the Era 300. So they're not stands that you might already have for various other speakers. So that's something to keep in mind if you want to have it on stand and use them as rears in your home surround sound setup. Like I said, I haven't listened to it in detail yet because this was just a demo, but it wasn't a demo in a studio, it was a demo just in someone's house, as you might do if you were putting it in your own home. And it sounded really, really, really good. Just such clear and crystal sound. Great bass, not overwhelming bass, but just really meaningful bass. So I was very impressed with my little time with it now, so far. So definitely keep your ears on my channel, as I will try and do a review in the near future. Anyway, so there you have it. Those are my initial thoughts about the Sonos Era 100 and the Era 300. Hopefully I'll get some units soon, which I can review and give you some more details about. Thanks very much for watching. And if you want to learn a bit more, I did do an interview with Richard from Sonos, which you can catch on another video on my channel. Until next time, yeah.